Hello, and thanks for joining us. This is REIGNfall, our weekly series on book topics in the world of storytelling, where anything fiction is fair game. This week, we're talking about Star Wars Aftermath. This book seems to have a huge fan base. Either you're in the camp where you hate it or a camp where you love it. And looking at some data online, reviews from Amazon and reviews from Audible, the camps seem to actually pan out along people who read it and people who listen to it. And it's interesting that the lovers of this story are the listeners, and most of the haters are the ones who are trying to slog through it on the reading side. And I wonder, why is that? This week we're going to discuss, is it because the performance is good in the audiobook? Do the readers not have an imagination? Everyone can sit here and look at a bar chart and say, okay, fine. But how do you interpret that bar chart? John, I am joined by you. Nah, screw that. I'll start that over. I'm joined.
That's a trap. A-wings and Y-wings.
I'm joined by John, who you just saw. And John, you got an opinion on basically why this basically extreme love and extreme hate really it shows in the data, right? So you can't argue with the data. You just got to interpret it.
I do have an opinion. Well, I know why the people who listen to the book love it. The production quality of the audio book was beyond anything I've heard before. I mean, you have blaster sounds in the background when there's a shootout. You have ambient computer chirping and generally, engine noise sound in the background during most of the scenes. You hear the speeder bikes when the reader is reading about the speeder bikes going by, or you hear the TIE fighters. It's got this super high level of production. The reader is very excited. He's doing a myriad different voices, and they all sound unique, so you can't really tell it's the same person, but it is. So I understand why the people who listen to it would absolutely love it. I said before, it's like I'm in the next room and I can hear the movie playing.
But the story at face value, you can say, oh, the story's improved by the audiobook. I wouldn't necessarily buy into that.
I'm right there with you.
If you look at the characters, you look at the expectations from, 30 years of wanting a good Star Wars story since the originals. Looking at you, Jar Jar Binks. The thing is the story at face value stands on its own. The characters are a larger part of the conflict. So this is a I can't put down type of book. I think the story itself stands on its own. So I'm wondering why the readers don't like it. It's maybe because of the writing style. People are nitpicking it apart, but who knows?
The readers don't like it because it's Star Wars, and it's probably not what they wanted. I have been listening to the audiobook, and I think I am able to step back from the production of the book and say, hey, is the writing good? Now, I noticed some things like we're not getting any world building. You don't hear a lot of description outside of the characters, their emotions, maybe what they look like, a lot of introspective stuff about the characters. So I feel very entrenched with the characters. But as far as descriptions about what does a Star Destroyer look like and all these other things, you don't get that in the book. So it's a different writing style. And that's actually a whole nother discussion about, do you need to include that level of detail when there's been so many movies and so many books written about this? People already know. So are you doing a disservice by explaining every little detail that we would expect in any other book, right? To do that world building. Do you do a disservice if you do that here? And they chose not to. And I don't think it really hurt the book at all. My brain can fill in all the details because Star Wars is such a big property, and I know all about it. So I thought the writing style was good. It's very to the point. It reminded me of another book that we read before, a Halo book. And I'm not comparing Star Wars to Halo, okay? I'm just saying the writing style, it was very straightforward. It was action-driven, and it was just a good book. There was good dialogue in it. There's nothing wrong with this story. Don't expect it to be the most fantastic, deep, meaningful thing you ever read. It's about Star Wars, and you know the history, and it's straightforward, and it's just been really solid. I mean, that's the way I would describe it.
And it's added a lot to the universe. We have people, expectations are high. People want to see their favorite characters, but this is an entirely new group. It doesn't shortchange the reader. It doesn't insult your your intelligence. It has a complex set of characters with complex motivations, and I think it adds to the Star Wars universe. It's too early to tell whether it's going to have that emotional resonance. Like, are there scenes and is there dialogue that will be as iconic or as memorable as the movies? That's a hard bar to reach. But some of these characters in this story are my favorite in the Star Wars universe so far. I mean, bar none. I don't know why, but I'm taken with Jaz Amari, the bounty hunter. And, you know, there's a huge ensemble cast. So it's like, who do you pick from? But her ex-Imperial buddy, Sinjir, he's funny. And they get into some scrapes with some non-Jabba the Hutt bounty hunters. So it's the whole cast is filled out on the Rebel and Imperial side. So I love that. And so I think it's high praise to actually say some of these characters are my favorite in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, Mr. Bones is the hero of the story because he takes out bad guys while he hums a robotic tune. So how do you beat that? But Josh, look at what they're doing with this book. They are establishing that something did happen after Return of the Jedi. For years, 20 to 25 years, my mind was set in, they blew up the Death Star and they blew up the Emperor. The Empire is gone. The good guys win. No, that was one small piece of that empire. And even the Emperor is replaceable. So what's happening now? And they're really digging into all of that stuff. And it's not something I'd really read about before. I hadn't read a lot of Star Wars novels, but it's an area that needs to be addressed. And are they going to set up a new emperor? And will the Empire try to fight back against the new, the Rebel Alliance that's taken over? And all of these things are coming to light. So there's so many good qualities about this book. Maybe people are nitpicking at the third person writing, or maybe they're nitpicking at the fact that it doesn't include Luke and Leia and Han, and thankfully not Jar Jar. So I don't know where people are coming from that hate the book, by reading it, because as far as I'm concerned, the writing quality it's there. It's good enough.
We should mention this is the official continuation. There's an entire business behind Star Wars, and the company has said this is the true, continuation after Return of the Jedi. So, go check that out. Understand, this is why this book has gotten so much attention, because this is where the narrative goes, and they call it canon. This is official canon. But we'll have some bar charts and some bar charts mainly, and maybe pie charts to show the rift between readers versus listeners. And the performance, if you look at audible.com, the performance has gotten a 4.6 average rating with 1,500 raters. So it by far just blows away any other metric. People actually love the performance. And for me, I'm glad I experienced it this way. I truly am. It's gotten me back, back on the bandwagon with this great iconic cultural story. But thanks for joining us, guys. This is REIGNfall. We'll check you next time.
Thank you.